Tonight on SUTV News, April is Autism Awareness Month.
And an exclusive interview with Dr. Allison Dagnes.
All that and more right now. Thanks for joining us on SUTV News. I'm Avery Quinn.
And I'm Isabella Marcelino. April is Autism Awareness Month. This past Tuesday, the sorority Alpha Sigma Tau did its yearly awareness table outside the library to share their support for people with autism.
Some people, it all depends on the person. All autism is different, but creating this awareness and letting them feel accepted and just as a community together, if we just practice out something as small as a sticker that you can put on your shirt, someone who's autistic that sees that is comforting, and it's just like, okay, like it makes them feel like they're really involved and welcomed into this community.
The sorority hopes this initiative teaches students that even the little things go a long way. The university's rec center switched things up last week for a special Relay for Life celebration. SUTV's Hannah Grady has the recap.
The rec center at Shippensburg University changed its name to Shipopoly last Friday night for Relay for Life. The event kicked off with performances from the marching band and the In Motion dance troupe. Student organizations and members of the Shippensburg community spent 12 hours playing games, walking around the track, and remembering loved ones who have battled cancer. Colleges Against Cancer member Darius Tatamy says promoting the event doesn't stop once Relay for Life happens.
Cancer doesn't sleep, and neither do we, so we promote all year round. Last semester we had our quad fest. We do 5Ks, maybe like a theme throughout the month. We can do like a Halloween theme 5K, a turkey trot. We did a color run 2 years ago. So we always try to promote all throughout the year, especially like at our meetings, we have weekly meetings, so we promote there as well.
When promoting their events on campus, the members also want to spread an important message as well. Colleges Against Cancer President Austin Horvath's message to the university goes beyond donating to the American Cancer Society.
And especially when people are going through cancer, they can feel isolated, and we don't want that. We want them to know that they're loved, they're cared about, and we're here for them, no matter what.
Hannah Grady, SUTV News.
Colleges Against Cancer raised $26,000, and all proceeds will be donated to the American Cancer Society. They would like to thank their sponsors, Volvo and the Shippensburg Walmart.
Looking for more advantages when finding a career? We may be able to help. For graduating seniors, job searching can be stressful. Trying to market yourself and your skills to relevant employers can seem impossible. But there is one tool that may be able to help. LinkedIn is a job networking site that helps you connect with other people with similar skills or education and also connect with potential employers. The more skills, education, and previous work experience you enter into LinkedIn, the more employers you're put in connection with. So if you're struggling to find a relevant job, put a professional picture in your profile, type in skills and education, and watch the employers line up. For SUTV News, I'm Avery Quinn. It should be emphasized that only LinkedIn should be used for professional networking. Earth Day is right around the corner. Another semester, another construction project on campus. SUTV's Evan Brown highlights the construction and renovation at Stewart Hall.
Shippensburg University is making some major changes to one of the oldest buildings on campus. Stewart Hall has been undergoing renovation since early this semester in an effort to help restore and revitalize the historic building. The renovations include the demolition of the front steps, fire escape, gymnasium, and running track. In addition to the back of the building will be built along with a new event space, track, offices, bathrooms, and elevator. Completion of the project is expected to be in early September of this year. For SUTV, I'm Evan Brown.
Stewart Hall was home of the Little Princess Playhouse program and was the first gymnasium on SHIP's campus. Earth Day is right around the corner, and so is the campus Earth Day celebration. Come join students, faculty, and guest speakers in the academic quad on April 25th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and we can learn how we can take care of our planet. All this is made possible by PRSSA and Students for Environmental Action and Sustainability. For more information about the Campus Earth Day celebration, please contact Javita Thompson at jlthompson@ship.edu.
The 14th Annual Wellness Fair is this Wednesday from 10 to 2. The Cub NPR is focusing on mind, body, and spirit. Students can bond with therapy animals, compete in physical activities, and learn self-defense techniques. Professionals are also offering massages, acupuncture, and Reiki. The event is free to students. Rumor has it, Kreiner is closing. SUTV's Nolan Huffman has one student's perspective about the rumor in this week's Know Your Ship. Nolan?
Hi, I'm Nolan Hoffman, and on this week's Know Your Ship, we discuss the rumors surrounding the closing of Kreiner Dining Hall and what it could mean for current and future students. For this story, I talked to current sophomore student Morgan Barr, who gave her personal opinion about what might Kreiner look like in the future.
Nothing's finalized yet because they still have to get approval from the school and different contractors and stuff like that. But from what I've heard, Kreiner is closing because they need more room for computer labs for the engineering program that'll have different softwares than our regular computer labs. And but the entire thing isn't closing. It's just part of it, so they'll still have the sub shop and possibly Papa John's.
One of two dining halls on campus along with Reisner Dining Hall. Considering this, I asked Morgan what her perception is of Kreiner Dining and if she thinks students on campus enjoy going there.
I think it's a good idea to close part of Kreiner down just because it'll make more space for academic labs. Also, Kreiner is a smaller dining hall, and it doesn't bring in as much money as say Reisner or the Cub. There's also a lot of off-campus options for people to eat out that are close by. So I think it'd be more beneficial for us to have the computer labs as a whole.
If the rumors surrounding Kreiner Dining Hall turn out to be true, that is one less place on campus to eat. So I asked Morgan if she felt a lot of students on campus would be upset over the decision.
I think some students will be upset by closing Kreiner, but the majority of students that go to SHIP are commuters, which is, I think it's over 65% are commuters from home. So not many of them actually eat at the dining halls. And if they do, they probably go to the Cub or go to Reisner just because it's closer and cheaper. So I think overall it won't affect many students, especially because they'll be keeping the sub shop and possibly Papa John's.
Since the future of Kreiner Dining Hall is still up in the air, SUTV will continue to keep you updated. That's it for this week's Know Your Ship. Back to you guys at the desk.
When we come back, SUTV's Katie Sweigart sits down with Dr. Allison Dagnes.
She'll give us an exclusive look into her new book, Super Mad at Everything All the Time. SUTV's Katie Sweigart is in the studio today to sit down with Dr. Allison Dagnes, a political science professor here at SHIP and the author of her newest book, Super Mad at Everything All the Time. Katie?
Hi, today I'm sitting down with Dr. Allison Dagnes. Dr. Dagnes, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Prior to teaching at Shippensburg, Dr. Dagnes received her doctorate in political science from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, and Dr. Dagnes was a producer for C-SPAN in Washington, D.C. More recently, she wrote her third book, Super Mad at Everything All the Time, Political Media and Our National Anger. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure, I'd love to. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course.
I teach American politics here at SHIP, and I noticed in the past couple years that the volume of politics has just gotten a little bit loud. And a lot of students who are interested in politics were getting more and more upset, and students who weren't interested in politics were moving farther and farther away. And so I tried to figure out, why is this happening? And one reason is because of the political media that we have today. And so that really started me on this trajectory into finding out why everyone's super mad at everything all the time, which, by the way, is a line that I stole from John Mulaney, although I gave him credit for it.
John Mulaney's our favorite.
Oh, yeah, he's a hero.
So you said you teach American government, and you did take a sabbatical this semester in order to focus on your book. So you are coming back in the fall to teach classes again. Do you think that Super Mad at Everything All the Time will influence your teaching, or if it's more of just a voluntary read?
You know, it's going to influence my teaching, and I hope that it will also influence the classroom setting. So I will be using the book in my political media class, which is an upper-level poli-sci course. But as I've been talking about it and blogging about it and thinking more about it, it really kind of boils down to us being able to listen to each other a little bit better. So I'm going to have students read it, but what I hope will come out of it is that students understand that we don't have to be as polarized as the situation leads us to feel like we have to be. In other words, we can listen to diverse opinions, and we can disagree with each other without being disagreeable about it. And so I'm hoping that not only can I use it in my classes, but also that the effect of it will just spread beyond the classroom.
Right, so I mean, you go about finding all these differing opinions in media, and I know that your focus is on right-wing political media, but that not everyone's opinion is the same. So what was that research process like for the book?
Well, it was really hard because the media itself, as you well know, is just massive. And so it took me a long time to kind of wrestle it into submission. And to help me do that, I interviewed about 36 different journalists and politicos and experts in this field. And I went to DC a lot, and I went to New York a lot, and I talked to some pretty impressive people. And what they helped me to see is kind of why it is that the journalism we have today and the opinions that we have today, why it is that they take the form that they do. And so that was a really interesting process.
So another question, why do you think that through your teaching and through all the research, you felt like you needed to tell this story?
Well, you know, we're in this kind of weird place right now in the country, and people are really angry, and I understand that anger, I do. But American democracy was built for deliberation. It was built for debate. And right now what we're doing is we're cocooning ourselves into these filter bubbles where we can just get the news that we agree with already, and we're not listening to anybody else. And that's really dangerous, because if that continues to happen, then we won't be able to compromise the way that the founders intended us to. So I think it's really important that all Americans, whether you're interested in politics or not, are able to sort of move away from the little cocoons where we can live a very comfortable but too sheltered life, and try and get out and understand somebody else's opinions too.
Right. And I just want to say that she did ask me, I was in her class last semester, some names for the political circle. So if you read the book, you might see one that I thought of, and you have to think of me. But going back, we're in Shippensburg. That's a small town in Pennsylvania. It's different than DC and New York, where you were able to get all of your research. How do you think this will impact students at Shippensburg?
Well, I hope that it impacts the community writ large, right? I have a lot of friends in the area who are left of center. I have friends in the area who are right of center. And what I hope is that both sets of my friends can realize that we have a lot more to talk about than just politics. And I'm a political science professor, and even I believe that. So if we can kind of move away from the things that make us really upset and get to places where we can talk to each other about the things that matter the most. And here at SHIP, it's whether Kreiner is going to be closing or not. And that is something that we can talk about and we can debate. It's a little lighter to talk about than some of the things that make us really, really pissed off. Although, I don't know, maybe that does make you pissed off.
So you did write 2 other books prior to this book, and this one, I think I'm a little bit biased to say that it's probably my favorite one, but what did your experience with your first 2 books kind of contribute to ending up writing Super Mad at Everything All the Time?
The thing that I loved the most was the fact that I learned so much more about my own field and my own discipline. And this just has allowed me to take the stuff that I researched and understood before and build on it. And it just reminded me, it doesn't matter if I'm a tremendously old and haggard professor here. Everybody keeps learning. Thank you. Thank you. I was really looking forward to that. Everybody keeps learning, and I keep learning. And I can't do my job unless I keep moving forward. And this just allowed me to do that. So it was a really fun process.
I really love being able to learn everything from your book and from your classes, and just as a student, as a journalist, that's what we focus on all the time, learning new things and gaining new perspectives, and I think this book will definitely allow us to do that.
Thank you.
So one of the last things I just want to know, I'm sure everyone is wondering to know that since you're, kind of an icon here at Shippensburg, what does it feel like to have a 3rd book out?
It feels good. We'll see. It just came out. You really do have the exclusive.
Yeah, SUTV's got the exclusive, guys.
First interview I've done is with you guys. So we will see kind of how it goes. I've got some book talks coming up, one in Harrisburg and one in DC and one in New York. And I look forward to meeting some new people and seeing some old students who are going to come to these. And so I'm looking forward to the whole thing.
So you're going, I think we spoke before this, I know you're going out west next week to start that. New York is going to be exciting, DC is always great. What is your plan going forward as maybe a teaching professional or just as a more knowledgeable person about today's political climate?
Well, I look forward to helping people be a little bit better informed, better read, Media literacy is a really important topic, and so I'm certainly not the last expert on this, but at least I can help kind of move the ball down the field a little bit.
All right, I want to first of all thank Dr. Dagnes again for coming. Like I said, this is an exclusive SUTV interview, and we look forward to seeing her again, and we look forward to seeing her back in the classroom in the fall. Next, we're going to discuss what's happening in this week's issue of the Slate. Michaela Valonio has more after the break.
As this on track against Kutztown and Millersville, as well as checking up on what the Pride Center has been up to since opening last fall. Other stories include coverage on Kinky Boots coming to the Lurs this Friday, an opinion piece about the Pride Center and their resources, as well as an APB hosting a Family Feud night. Be sure to pick up the next edition of the Slate in newsstands on campus and off campus or at theslateonline.com.
Scared of going to the doctor, or are you just scared of the needles from the shots? I know, I am. Well, SUTV's Paige Ahrensmeyer explains this phobia in this week's World News. Paige?
The humanitarian crisis in Venezuela has affected every aspect of daily life. But today we are looking at women's health and safety. Maternal and infant deaths are on the rise. Contraceptives are scarce, expensive, and nearly impossible to find. CNN's Paula Newton reports from Venezuela.
This is not a line for food or water, but still, they say, it's a bare necessity. In Venezuela, they are desperate, even for birth control. For several years now, several times a week, they come to the health clinic Plafam for some of the only birth control that's available. It's terrible, Jonai tells me. You just can't get contraceptives. If you do get them, her friend Emily adds, it's expensive. Even if you work, your entire salary isn't enough to get one pack of pills. And for young girls who can't get birth control, they tell me, especially teenagers, many turn to abortion. We visited with the clinic's medical director months ago, and the situation is the same today, he confirms. Contraceptives are scarce at public clinics and unaffordable at private ones. The World Health Organization says Venezuela now has one of the highest adolescent pregnancy rates in South America, as even black market contraception is far too expensive for most. And the consequences of this shortage pose an even greater risk to the long-term health of women and girls. This young woman says she induced her own abortion at home with herbal tea and pills. She says the pain was unbearable.
Were you scared?
Yes, I was scared. I thought I was going to die because there was so much blood. It was horrible.
Hemorrhaging, she went to see a doctor, but could not confess to having an abortion and still does not want her identity revealed. Abortion is illegal in Venezuela, punishable with up to 2 years in prison.
There's no way of knowing what they're doing and how they are performing these abortions. So it's very worrisome.
This women's activist says the latest available health records show maternal mortality in Venezuela was up 60% in 2016 alone. A recent study of infant mortality, she says, is even more alarming.
Fetuses were found in garbage cans, or babies were abandoned, and we were really surprised by the number, the sheer number, and these are the ones that make it into the media. We don't know how many more there can be.
A generation of Venezuelan women now live in fear of how sexual activity and pregnancy can upend their health and their lives. Only in CNN, Caracas.
Now an update on a story we've been following, nearly 6 minutes of terror. That's what pilots and passengers had to endure on Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. The plane crashed last month, killing all 157 people on board. Now investigators say the plane's problem mirrored that of another Boeing crash 6 months earlier. Mary Maloney has the latest on the preliminary findings as some of the passengers' families take action.
Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 was almost doomed from the start. According to the preliminary crash report, the crew recognized the warnings and followed the emergency procedures recommended by Boeing to keep the plane flying.
Let's not forget, there are human beings in the cockpit. You don't just simply trigger to a conclusion. It takes time to process.
But the Boeing 737 MAX 8 automated systems overwhelmed the pilot's manual maneuvers. After a terrifying 6-minute ride shooting up and plummeting down, the plane crashed, killing all souls on board. The tragedy, according to investigators, mirrored what happened less than 6 months earlier when Lion Air, operating the same model plane, fell from the sky. The two disasters killed more than 300 people.
This should not happen to anyone again. That's why we're here.
The family of one passenger, 24-year-old Samya Stumo, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against several entities, including Boeing.
The potential of my sister and 156 others driven straight into the ground because of Boeing's greed.
Boeing is working on a change to the system's software, but some pilots say they want to go through comprehensive training before they feel comfortable flying the grounded planes.
Our profession's calling is to protect our passengers. We're the last line of defense.
I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
In a statement, Boeing's CEO recognizes the magnitude of the crashes. He acknowledged the role of the software in both cases, but also says there's a chain of events in any airline disaster. Still, the CEO says it's the company's responsibility to eliminate the risk of crashes. A health insurer says a new program will help families who have to pay for a life-saving drug. Cigna announced Wednesday it's launching the Patient Assurance Program. According to the company, the plan will cap out-of-pocket expenses for a 30-day supply of insulin at $25. Cigna's announcement comes the day after the FDA announced it will bring competition to the insulin market. The federal agency sees it as a way to lower prices after prices doubled between 2014 and 2016. Vaccinations are a hot topic lately, but no matter where you stand on the topic, you probably know someone who hates going to the doctor. The reason is probably because of shots. A study reported by the U.S. National Library of Medicine says your fear of needles might be explained. Up to 50% of children exhibit needle fear, and that phobia carries on into adult life. They say any scary experience from the age 4 to age 6 are likely to stick with a person through life. Dr. Amy Baxter of Pain Care Labs in Atlanta says a fear of needles and injections is often the reason adults decline vaccines and even avoid getting medical care altogether. That's all I have for this week's World News. Back to you guys at the desk.
Well, that does make a lot of sense about the needle fear, because when I was younger, I would always get them and I was just terrified then. So to feel that terror now is horrid. Do you feel that way?
I wouldn't say terror. Maybe I flinch a little bit.
Nope. I hate it. When we come back in entertainment, an update following the Nipsey Hussle murder.
And Justin Bieber receives backlash after an April Fool's joke, on Instagram.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? You know you do. Yeah, but I don't know where to start. That's why we're here. We're free, handsome, I think we're breathtaking, and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, finance.
We taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, the net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Isabella, I've got to say that throughout the week, it just felt warmer and nicer and all around more pleasant.
I know, it seems like it's finally on the way. Let's send it over to Jillian with this week's weather.
Spring Mayflowers is the theme of this week's forecast because we got some sunshine on the way, but unfortunately the rain is coming with it. Tonight, although we loved having the warmer weather today with lots of sun, a few showers will be heading our way. And then on Friday, the rain is going to stick around, bringing temperatures back down into the 50s and high 40s. However, the weekend here at SHIP is looking A-okay because temperatures are going up to 70s, and hopefully the sun will come through from behind those partly cloudy skies to make it at least that much better. Monday the rain will return, but for Tuesday and Wednesday, we can definitely expect some more sun. So aside from showers here and there, the weekend's shaping up to look pretty good. So we might even be able to, get some homework done outside and bring out those short sleeves. But that'll do it for this week, weather. Let's keep our fingers crossed for that sun to come out. Let's send it over to Michael Smith with this week's entertainment.
Nearly 20 people have been injured after a vigil for Grammy-nominated rapper Nipsey Hussle ended in a riot. A large group had gathered outside the Marathon clothing store in Los Angeles to pay their respects. At some point, people began running, resulting in several attendees being trampled in the resulting chaos. This caused law enforcement to respond with riot gear and batons. 33-year-old Hussle was shot and killed on Sunday. Celebrities including LeBron James, Rihanna, Issa Rae, and many others took to social media to express their grief at the rapper's untimely passing. This April Fool's Day got a little out of hand for Justin Bieber. Bieber has always been known as a prankster, so he wanted to do something big this year. He posted a picture of an ultrasound on his Twitter Monday, along with a picture of his wife Hailey Baldwin in the doctor's office. People were quick to point out that joking about a pregnancy can be hurtful. Justin wrote on an Instagram post he takes full responsibility and is sorry to the people who were offended. And lastly, soon-to-be dead Prince Harry stopped by a ballet class for 4 to 6-year-olds this week. He visited the YMCA in London to help kids practice their balancing. After the class, he was playing with a 3-month-old baby who laughed and smiled at Prince Harry, assuring the world he will be a wonderful father just like his brother Prince William. Meghan Markle's due date is at the end of April, so expect a royal baby soon. And that's all we have for entertainment this week. Let's send it back to the desk.
When we come back in sports, lacrosse hosts Millersville.
And no surprise here, but Ariel Jones is an All-American. Jake Rom has more when we come back.
After every hard-fought football game, muddy soccer game, or even a sweaty 10K, what happens to the uniforms? Sean Rapp takes us inside the equipment room to find out.
Being an equipment manager is tough stuff. It's a difficult job, and communication is key for Benji Knorr and his team.
I mean, on any given day, you can probably pick up our phones and see that we've already talked to each other a handful of times before, noon.
Benji makes sure all 20 Shippensburg sports teams have all the gear they need.
That is probably the most challenging and most demanding because we do try to hold ourselves to a higher standard.
And holding themselves to a higher standard for good reason.
Last thing that we want is for our team to show up to an away competition and not have uniforms.
Having uniforms is important. Having clean uniforms is also important. Washing those uniforms isn't as easy as you may think.
It usually takes 2 or 3 rounds of washing them through our machine to get them clean.
Not something always done in the same night.
We'll try to get at least a start on it the night before and maybe get their pants done or their jerseys done and get them hung to dry.
That process takes a team's effort.
We're definitely a team, and like I said, we try to help each other as much as we possibly can.
Being a team, the plan is simple.
Our goal is to take things off of the coaches. We want them to worry about the X's and O's, wins and losses.
In Higas Fieldhouse, Sean Rapp, SUTV Sports.
Shippensburg Athletics continue their dominance in the PSAC has noticed. The Raiders are third in the standings for the 24th annual Dixon Trophy with strong performances from men's basketball as well as the entire indoor track and field team. Shippensburg is near the top of the standings only behind Westchester and Kutztown. Spring sports have just begun and the Raiders are looking to climb the standings. Lacrosse was home this week against Millersville in a big PSAC matchup. It was all squared at 2 early, but Elena Cardassi, she had other plans. She's going to put one here in the back of the net. Chip's going to Millersville will strike back. Kate Dorley ties the game up at 3, and the Marauders were not done there. Callie Sweigart, she gives Millersville the lead. Shippensburg was down 6-3 late in the first half, but here comes the Raiders. Under 3 minutes left, off the rebound, Kyra Schenk is going to grab the rebound and score, but the Raiders would come up short in the end. The score was 15-10. And over to basketball, sophomore guard Ariel Jones was named to the 2018-19 Division II All-American Women's Basketball third team. Jones is the first Raider named to a spot on the All-American team since 2010 when Lauren Beckley took home the position. Jones ranked 4th in the nation in scoring at the end of the regular season with an average of 25.6 points per game. Additionally, she set the PSAC single-season records in both free throws made, free throws attempted. She averaged 8.7 free throws made per game with a 78.8% shot accuracy. At the end of her season, Jones set a new single-season school record for points with 690, a total that placed her 5th all-time in PSAC single-season history. So congratulations, Ariel. Well, there was a lot of great performances like that this week, but only one could be named this week's Stat of the Week. And the Stat of the Week this week goes to Aaron Arp of the men's track and field team. In just his second meet of the year, Arp had already carved his name in the record books. At Richmond this past weekend, Arp broke 47.47 seconds, which broke the previous record by 1/100th of a second. So congratulations, Aaron Arp, on the school record and this week's Stat of the Week. Tune in next week for the Stat of the Week, and remember, if you work like that, you get the stat. That's it for sports. Let's send it back to the desk.
Come back, Romeo and Juliet have a couple to compete with. A New Jersey woman learned about her parents' love for each other and the kindness of strangers, all in one gesture with a little assistance from Ancestry.com. Curious? Valerie Castro explains.
Her parents' love story will live on with her forever, but 54-year-old Carol Cutler is just now learning more about how the tale started.
It's a whole different side of them before they were parents and grandparents.
Both her parents died about a year ago, just 5 months apart.
We had an estate sale because it was such a big job. Along the way, these must have been misplaced in something that we got rid of.
She's referring to the 65 love letters in almost mint condition.
My dearest Jonah.
Her dad sent them to her mother in the 1950s when he was in the army stationed in Japan.
Waiting, praying, and hoping that time passes quickly so I can come home to you.
And her mother waiting back in America in nursing school. Carol had no idea about her parents' letters.
Puts a whole puzzle together that, never knew existed.
Her father wrote these during the infancy of their almost 70-year-long love story. The ones her mother sent in return are still lost.
He was like a big bear and, had a big bark at times, but everybody always knew he had a great heart, and it shows in all these letters, definitely.
The reason why Carol now has her hands on these letters is Bonnie Hanlon, who found them inside this Asbury Park antique store and used Ancestry.com to look up the family.
I was thrilled to find that they had gotten married. And then I found that somebody else was researching them.
That person searching was Carol, but she never expected this.
I'm a teacher, and I always tell my students, acts of kindness, and this is just the ultimate act of kindness.
This time spotlighting acts of love.
Call me a romantic, but I think those love letters put Tinder direct messages to shame.
You gotta love a good handwritten letter. It really just I know it means the world to a lot of people.
It shows that, I think it puts more care into or love into the message. I feel like if it's just typed or something like that.
Don't hate on Tinder though.
I won't.
Well, that's it for SUTV News. I'm Isabella Marcelino.
And I'm Avery Quinn. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at SUTVnews.com.
We'll see you next time.